I've got to do this because it was inflicted upon me as a child. So in the 92-9 region of Boston, if you fancy, there's the Wellesley Country Club, Brayburn, the Weston Golf Club, and they sort of coalesced around a curling hunk of ice called Broomstones.
Yep.
Did you go there as a little kid? Like, were you part of that whole scene?
Absolutely. That was Broomstones Curling Club was like my second home. My whole family curled. I have an older brother that curled, and I followed in his footsteps. My parents were so involved with the youth curling program there. I was known to be running up and down the stairs, playing pool, throwing so many stones on the ice.
Did you ever stub your toe on that damn stone? I mean, was the stone laying around at home and you ran over it?
No. Pretty much just grew up sliding down the sheet of ice.
Since you're 5 years old, you were curling. 5 years old. I didn't think a 5-year-old could curl.
I know. Well, they have these smaller stones that weigh like half the size. So their stone's about 44 pounds. They have like these little rocks that they call them that are made for younger curlers, for kids that can't slide a 40-pound stone down the sheet of ice.
What changed with this Olympics in terms of a sport that we focus on every 4 years to, hey, this is for real? What's the catalyst right now out of that wonderful Olympic coverage?
I think it's the energy that you see from the sport, from all the athletes. We love a sport where, the crowd's going wild and cheering big. I think traditionally it used to be known as, a bit of a quiet, more of like a silent please type of sport where, it's all about etiquette, and it is a sport of etiquette. And, instead of the respective cheers, on made shots and then be silent for the next opponent to throw, we want those cheers to vibrate through the stadium, and that's what we saw in Italy. The Italian crowd showing up, our American crowd, every country showing up for their own, and the energy that the athletes were giving off.
Alexis Christoforous with Korey Dropkin. He has a silver medal in studios with us. That's a hunk of metal.
It's around his neck, in case you guys can't see. May I feel it?
Absolutely.
It's
I've
heavy.
never been this close to a. Oh my gosh, that's heavy. All right, that's the real deal.
And hopefully it'll last, because there's stories like they go out 3, 4, 5 years and they fall apart. Yeah. I hope that doesn't
or they've been falling off the ribbon or something.
Silver, by the way, at $86 right now, up 7
Oh, very good.
Oh, there you go.
Perfect. We got that piece in there.
Alexis, please. With
He's going to
Dropkin.
hang on to his silver. So, I mean, undoubtedly, curling's having its moment. But in what ways? Like, are you seeing and hearing from like young people here in the U.S.? Are they going like, yeah, I want to do that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think every 4 years it's natural that, the world loves watching curling. We just need to be able to give the world what they want to watch more often. And I would want to see, especially in the U.S., curling exposed a little bit more. We need it more on an annual basis. And that's part of why Rock League is here and starting in April. But I've heard so many curling communities having, big open houses, new kids, new adults trying to come in and learn how to curl.
But you're up in Duluth right now.
Yeah, you
where
bet.
It's still winter. Okay.
Yeah,
so you're up in Duluth and you want to do Rock League. Do you have any media into it? Is there a TV, a TV structure?
That's what you need to get it to the next level.
Yes. Yep. And I know
it says Apple TV. It says Dead TV.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I know they've got a network for sure in Canada. I know they're working on the U.S. It sounds like there was talks about potentially securing something, but hopefully we're able to get that, and that way that everyone around the U.S. can watch. April 6th to 12th in Toronto is where Rock League's happening. It's the inaugural first season. It's going to be 7 days long.
How many teams?
There's 6 franchises, and the beautiful thing is that it's mixed gender. So on each franchise, there's 10 athletes, 5 male and 5 female. And so really you get the best in the world that are playing head and head.
What do you like in a bar or the games, like a pool table or some of those games? You must be, you just go in and get some idiot to bet you.
This is not a sport you can do with a beer in one hand.
Well,
these guys are athletes.
It's like a Marty Supreme moment.
How good are you in a bar?
League night is known to have some beer involved, for sure. On an average Tuesday evening, you're definitely going to see curlers with a beer on the back of the boards. But I love pool. When I grew up and I wanted to be good at curling, my dad told me that if you want to be good at curling, you got to learn your angles. If you want to learn your angles, you start playing some pool.
3-cushion billiards, or you doing pocket?
Absolutely, pocket.
So see, you can the curling skills translate to other things.
Okay,
Korey.
I'm Size in my ear. Size, our curling expert here. I got out of turn here. I'm gonna have to go here in a couple of minutes because of Iran and all that. Korey, it's as simple as that. Were the Canadians cheating?
You know, they weren't cheating. No. You know, there was you know, basically touching the ground is technically an infraction where, you know, it's similar to like traveling in basketball.
Okay,
you know,
were they cheating?
They weren't cheating, but they were definitely.
Did somebody call them out on it? Is that really what happened? I mean,
the Swedish curler Oscar Eriksson, you know, called them out on it, and I'd say, you know, they probably reacted a little bit over the board, which is why everything went pretty.
There was cussing going on in
viral.
curling, which doesn't happen often.
Yeah, you don't see it very often. You know, it's also a big stage. You know, we're talking about the Olympics. The emotions are high. You know, you had essentially a legend of the sport who's being called out, and you know, he overreacted for sure. It was an infraction that, as you know, traveling in basketball, some people get called on it, some people don't.
Right.
And he got called on it.
Where do you keep the medal when you're not wearing it?
Either close by to me or up high on a shelf at home, so
Not
my
under
cats
the
can't get to
pillow,
it.
not under the mattress.
Yeah.
Okay, when you get the Clorox free and clear out on the kitchen floor, you're like demanding you do the scrubbing of the kitchen floor. That's like practice.
If you were my son, I'd be asking you to do it. I really would, Korey.
Yeah. You know, I'm very good at cleaning the kitchen floors.
You're
for
very
sure.
good at cleaning
Yeah, you can ask
the
my
kitchen
fiance.
floor. Well, thank you so much. This has been just a joy. It is a real entrepreneurial spirit, folks. Rock League, you're going to see it, as Korey mentions, out of Toronto here, as they develop our interest in curling after our complete addictive fixture. How come the games are so long?
Oh, that's a good question.
Right now the men's and women's 4-person games are 10 ends, and that takes about 2.5 hours.
Are you going to get a pitch clock?
I know they should. I think what we need to see is the game shortened a little bit, and you're gonna see that in Rock League too, where the games will be shortened. The mixed doubles games are about an hour and a half, which in my mind is perfect. People love watching mixed doubles.
Korey, thank you so much. Out of Wayland, Massachusetts, out of Southborough as well, and of course now up in Duluth, Minnesota, Mr. Dropkin is an Olympic silver medalist.